Et, you look a bit like the health secretary with your red background.
And your halo.
That's better. We can't hear you.
That's better. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, perfect. Actually, that's. I'll just turn the lights down a little bit. It's a bit of a glare.
Mood lighting for the parish council meeting. What can one say?
Anne's having a bit of trouble.
Yes, you'll have to sit up, Et, otherwise it looks.
I know. I'm just trying to. That's better. Hang on. Maybe a bit of DIY tomorrow. I'll raise the lights a little bit. No Rob this evening.
No, he sent his apologies this afternoon.
Do we start without those two? Are they coming, or do you need
I've
time?
resent Anne the link. Ian said that he'd found it.
Good.
You are court if you want to proceed.
Well, the first bit. Yeah, we've got enough staffing committee, haven't we? I'm just thinking for the agenda. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, let's start then. It's 7:32. So thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Nicola's 2-year anniversary. This time, 2019 in March, you sat in that chair for the first time. And also it's Black Bin Night, so if you've forgotten, you've still got time to get it out there before they wake you up at some ungodly hour. Moving straight on to the agenda, which I'll just crack open on here. Item number 1, or 179, is to receive any apologies for absence and declarations of interest. Do we have any apologies?
So we have apologies from Rob and also from County Councillor Ian Bates.
Okay, that's good, thank you. And any declaration of interest? You've all seen the agenda. Anything that you think might? No? Okay, thank you much. I now close the meeting to go into an open session where members of the public can talk about any item on the agenda. Does any member of the public wish to speak?
Yes, I do.
So, Sandy? Yeah.
Yes, I would like to
Right
say
away.
something.
Thank you.
I feel it's about the item about the bus library.
Oh, yeah.
I feel compelled to speak about the village bookcase library and its reconsideration tonight. In October, it had been approved by the Parish Council. When I first heard about it in Spectrum many months ago now, I thought what a good idea and a real community asset it could be. The friends that are in the book club that I am in were equally positive and very enthusiastic about it. This village library is not something new and revolutionary. They are found in many villages up and down the country and are very successfully run. And I've borrowed books from the local one in Hemmingford. I know many of them are in the old red telephone boxes, which sadly we don't have one in Hilton. But we do have a very solid brick, underused bus shelter where the bookcase is planned to go. And it's not a structure that could be easily damaged, if that is your concern. It's in a very central location for people and it's highly visible. There are still several villages in Hilton who don't have any transport and others who can no longer drive. And I feel it would be a real benefit to them to have access to books. Most of us enjoy reading, and I read paperbacks, and I only read them once and be very happy to donate them. And I enjoy browsing for replacement books. Please think of the benefits to the villagers. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Thank you much. Oh, so Eileen, yeah.
Yes, hello.
Eileen, sorry.
Really what I want to do is just to add my voice to what Sandy has just said. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that she said. I think this is an idea with a proven track record. It's relatively easy to set up and manage, and I think it would be of real benefit to those people who are not able to access a library easily. And so I too would urge you to really think about it very carefully. Thank you.
Okay, that's coming out at 189 a bit later on. Thank you very much. Andy, did you?
Yeah, I've got a few, please, Graham. 187 received the flooding report. I think I mentioned the last meeting, and I have to Nicholas since. We really do need this published. It's a benefit to a huge part of the village, and I can't see any reason why it shouldn't be published, even in its current form. I don't know what the current form is, but it's draft form. The one that Ian spoke at last was so useful. So please, can I ask that this is published so the village can use it? 189, please. Bus shelter. I concur with both of those comments. I think the book club would be an excellent idea, and I think last year has shown that this sort of collaboration is really of a benefit for people. So please, I would also endorse that. 193 discussed the release of the digital version of the village map, which was produced in January 2014, 7 years ago. And I think, as you know, over that period, I've asked for it to be published again and again. We're still using Richard Garnett's old hand-drawn map for a lot of things. There's a great map that Kieran's produced. Please publish it. It's for the benefit of us all for so many activities. And finally, the 195, the parish plan questionnaire. I agree, questionnaires are really good, but the cost of 145 plus up to £219 a year for something which you can get really close to SurveyMonkey with Google Forms and Microsoft Forms. Both allow you to have that functionality with unlimited numbers of users. In fact, Microsoft Forms says this is very much targeted for things like surveys and questionnaires. So if I could plea that perhaps we look before spending a lot of money on something like SurveyMonkey, for the amount of time it's going to be used. For commercial purposes, when you're doing thousands of people for surveys every week or month, a great idea. But I think for the relatively few times we'll use it, Google Forms and Microsoft Forms are perfectly adequate. So that would be my recommendation, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good. Okay, well, I'll put the meeting back into closed session, and we'll go into the approval of the minutes from the various meetings. The first minutes is to approve is the meeting on the 1st of February. You've all seen that. Are you happy that I sign those? I propose that I will sign them. Anybody want to second that? Nobody? Oh, Peter. Yeah. Okay. All in favour of sign the minutes? And myself. Brilliant. Thank you much. That's good. And then we can go on to the minutes of the planning committee. That was held on the day after, on the Tuesday. Again, we were discussing the land west of Wychwood. I think we've got enough members of the planning committee here. Yeah, but Cora, aren't we? Yes, thank you. You've seen those. If I sign those, can I have a seconder, please, for that action, Peter? Again, Sharon, I don't think you were there, were you? So it's just going to be Peter, Kieran, and myself who are going to vote on that. So if you're happy, you three, including me, yeah, fine. Okay, so I'll sign those. And then finally, moving on to the staffing committee, which was held on the 17th of February. Again, you've seen the minutes and effectively discussing a lot of that tonight. If you're happy for me to sign those, can I have a seconder, please? I know this is obviously myself, Kieran.
Sharon.
Sharon, sorry, you were there, Sharon. I'm getting confused with the. Yeah, so there's three of us out of the five, or out of the four that were there. So if you're happy that I sign those, are you seconding, Kieran? Yeah. Are you happy, Sharon? Yeah. Oh, you know, you need to. You're on mute. Are you okay, Sharon? Are you happy to sign a minute? Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just at my parents', unfortunately. No, from what I've seen, I'm not sure that it's kind of exactly what we discussed at the meeting. So I'm just I'd just rather abstain. So,
Okay. Just a point of, sorry. Nicola, with the 5 people on the committee, but only 4 people turning up, is it okay if the 2 of us agree to it? Is that correct or not?
You're the majority at this meeting, so yes.
Okay.
This meeting
Kieran,
is for it.
right. Kieran, are you happy?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'll propose that I sign it. If you second it, then that's the 2 of us. And Sharon, you're abstaining.
yeah.
Okay, I understand. Right. Thank you much. Right. So moving on. Item 2021-181 is matters arising from the last meeting, including clerk's report. Information and no discussion, and no decision can be made. So, Nicola, fire away. What you got for us?
All right. So I'm sorry, I'm just still conversing with Anne and Ian. They've both managed to lock their Zoom accounts. But,
Oh, right.
We'll keep working on it.
Okay.
So the clerk report, new councillor paperwork, Ed has signed his declaration of acceptance of office, and I witnessed it over Zoom, and his declaration of interest form has been submitted to HDC and is also on the PC website. The NATS response, the consultation response was drafted by Peter and Ed and submitted by myself, and the response was also published on the website and the Facebook page. The 500-word LHI written submission was drafted by the working group as per the council resolution and submitted by me. I have communicated with Google Maps via their online reporting tool. I did find a couple of email addresses, but none of them were actually monitored emails. So I've used their online reporting tool to advise of the issue that they are causing and ask them to redirect traffic away from the village, but as yet no response has been received. Further to the last meeting, I contacted the County Council to point out that Hilton was not included in the maps for the Cambridgeshire Cycling and Walking Local Plan draft. So I requested that Hilton was included in that consultation, and I have received a response from the County Council to say that they will be consulting all of the parish councils, but this won't be until after the local elections on the 6th of May. As set out in the local cycling and walking plan methodology, longer rural routes between villages didn't tend to score very highly, and so routes to and from Hilton were not in the top list of schemes. The propensity to cycle tool that they were advised to use by the Department for Transport does lead to more urban strategic routes coming out as being a higher priority, as it looks at origin destination figures for travel to work, which they've tried to counter to a certain extent by making it district based. And they've said they welcome any feedback, and it's all up for discussion as it's only a draft plan. I've also contacted the County Council to ask for further information regarding the NMU route to ensure that our route from Hilton to Fenstanton is included in the next round of funding. Unfortunately, the named officer from the CCC documents has left the council, and so I'm waiting for the new contact details once the new officer is appointed. I've contacted the Avieco regarding the Rural Community Energy Fund, and I'm working with them to complete the first draft of the pre-application questionnaire, which then has to be sent to the local energy hub to advise whether we should proceed with the application for a feasibility study grant. I have sent emails to the volunteers thanking them for their hard work installing the Christmas lights at the pavilion, and submitted the response to the County Council's Highways Service Stakeholder Survey, together with the comments that I received from Anne. I've also submitted the response to the consultation from NAUC on the land ownership. So the lamppost PC26 beside the pavilion has been reported to the lighting maintenance contractor as it's currently leaning and unstable. I've received the notice of precept from the District Council for the 30,600 that was agreed by the Council for the next financial year. And like this year, it would be paid in 2 instalments on the 30th of April and the 30th of September. Peter and Graham have recently attended the councillor training with CAPALC and would like to urge those councillors who have not yet booked onto training to do so. 4 litter pickers have been purchased by the council using the clerk chair authority. You'll see them on the payments later on in the meeting. The WI Show the Love campaign, which happened last weekend. The WI approached the council via Councillor Goodridge to ask for permission for the display at the pavilion. In consultation with Graham, I authorised this request under the scheme of delegation as the request was deemed urgent, and it couldn't wait obviously until this council meeting, as it would have been after the particular weekend they were looking for. Those councillors who haven't submitted their DPI forms to me, or their bio or photo for the website, could they please do so ASAP? It's particularly important for the DPI forms as they are a legal requirement. And I have just received a request to put the Easter cross on the green, and the dates are from Friday the 2nd to Tuesday the 6th of April. Obviously this came in after the agenda was published, and following a discussion with Graham, I intend to improve this request under the scheme of delegation in accordance with the council's decision in previous years.
Fine. Okay, thank you much. Right, the next item is to review or receive and discuss the financial reports. Now, we went through these last time, so I don't intend to go through them in detail unless anyone wants to. But just to point out, there's been a slight change to the budget analysis. It used to be a 5-column monster, and now it's only a 4-column piece of work, including what we spent last year. I think the basic change is there's less percentage spends, and it's got a history of what we did last year, which I think is quite beneficial. This was the recommended version from Silka Training.
Yep, that's right.
And so it's the recommended format for presenting budgets, but obviously each council's got a bit of a leeway, but we can, whatever. So I mean, any comment? Do you want it to be Silka approved, or no comment? Okay, just receive it. Okay, well I'll propose that we accept the financial reports as received, and that they'll be received in that manner for the foreseeable future. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Someone put your hand up. Oh, thanks, Heather. Okay, so Heather's seconding it. All those in favour, raise hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Heather, of course. Fine. Okay, thank you. Just think we're down to 6, aren't we? Is that right?
That's
6.
right.
It's just hard to keep up. Okay. Right, now I'm desperately aware that we're missing councillors, and that the next item is going to be a closed session, and that we've got members.
So we've got policy group first.
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you for reassuring me. Okay, policy group.
Keep trying.
Sorry?
I'll keep trying.
Okay, the policy group met recently, and there were 5 policies that were presented in draft form. They're still obviously in draft form, and they're being presented tonight for approval. These will go on to the website, and every year they'll get reviewed, and hopefully there won't be too many changes each time. I think this generally draws a line under all the policies that we've done in the 2 years since Nicola's been with us. So we're just wrapping up the outstanding policies. So you've all seen these on in the standing orders. So 183.1 is the equal opportunities policy. Are we all okay with that? Oh, Heather, yes.
On the final page, there's a statement that says, and maintain racial harmony, is the end of the 3rd paragraph.
Right.
And it just seems odd to pull out one particular protected characteristic to be maintained rather than all of them. So I'm suggesting we either maintain harmony generally,
yes,
or remove that comment.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because there were other ones where we didn't like some of the things that we were being asked to do above other things. So yeah, I mean, members of the policy group who discussed it, do you have any favours about maintaining harmony or deleting it? Which do you fancy to do? I'm looking, is it Kieran and Peter and Anne? Peter, you're on mute? Did you?
I am. I'm just trying. I'm sorry, because I've got it open there on the screen here. I'm just trying to find it.
Yeah.
Last page, 3rd.
Yeah, no. It's not that. Thanks, Heather. It's because I've got so many documents open.
Right.
I'm just tracking the right document down.
I say, bearing in mind some of the things that we were being asked to positively promote, I can understand that this is something that no, you shouldn't pick out one particular aspect of the equal opportunities.
We went for an existing policy, didn't we, that had been recommended to us.
Yes.
That was all encompassing, basically saying we support the.
Yes, but this particular paragraph that Heather's picked out
Yeah.
implies that we have to support something above something else.
Yeah, which wouldn't be quite right, would it?
No. So I like the opportunity of saying, you know, maintain harmony or just delete it. Obviously, delete it is the easiest.
I think the words before that probably cover it. A fully integrated community.
Full stop.
No, and maintain harmony. There's no harm in putting that in, but I say
Okay.
the integrated community points in the direction of racial harmony.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the proposal from Ed, which I like. Finishing off with maintaining harmony.
Do you like that, Heather?
I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So apart from that, so I'm going to propose that we produce that, or we finalise that as our document with that slight modification to the last paragraph. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Seconding it. All in favour? And you can all vote. It doesn't need to be a policy group. So that's all 6. Thank you very much. That's good. Moving on to the general risk assessment. This is something that, again, we had to sort of see how we're managing our equipment and things. Anybody got any comments with that one? Heather? Yeah.
The first part talks about members and the second part talks about councillors. And I wasn't sure the difference and whether we shouldn't be consistent.
Good point. General risk assessment. Dig that one up. Anybody from policy group wish to? I mean, really, where we are, well, I suppose it's interchangeable, but as you say, it should be consistent, shouldn't it? Does anyone have any preferences?
Can I ask Nicola if she's got any comment on that?
Members and councillors are interchangeable terms, but I agree consistency would be more professional.
Yes. So, I mean, do we want to be members or do we want to be councillors? Who else? Who else?
Councillors.
Councillors.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's more team spirited, isn't it? Right. Okay. So that if we go through all the relevant sections and change members to councillors, would that be okay to sign that off as an agreed policy? Can I propose that then? Have a seconder for that, please. Heather seconding it. Okay. All in favour? Raise your hands. That's 6 of you. Thank you very much. So we'll just get rid of that one. Gosh, we're going to miss this when we have open meetings, aren't we? Right, the grant awarding policy and form. Something that we don't often do is award grants, so we only do the one regular, which is to the British Legion. But we do now have a policy suggested to us and an associated form. Again, being presented to you on your standing orders. Are you all happy with it, or any problems, any issues? Oh, Heather.
I'm concerned about this one because I can't see who's likely to benefit from it. It's asking for bids in on the 30th of September for the following April, which seems a long time in advance. I can't see any organisation being that organised in order to submit a bid. I wonder if we could have a pot of money that is the grant pot, rather than having to put it into our budget, dependent on how we receive the money. I had to look at Camborne's policy. Theirs is 2 times a year that they're approved, and their main aim is to encourage new groups. So I think we're making it quite difficult for groups to apply for this money, and I think it needs a bit of a rethink.
Okay, I mean, historically, we haven't awarded grants.
No, I was wondering who we thought we would be awarding grants to, and I thought of the Brownies and the Cubs and organisations like that need the money in the next 3 months, not apply September, wait till April and then have it approved.
I say the only one we regularly do is British Legion. Anybody else got any comments on that? Any thoughts about whether we're going to sort of change policy or put money with Peter?
It would be fair to say the Legion don't apply that much in advance, do they?
September for October.
Do they for November?
November, yeah. I mean, they may apply in, they might have applied in August, but of course we don't meet in August, so it's normally September, isn't it?
Okay.
I mean, the suggestion from Heather is that it's taken back and reworked, which I don't know whether you
let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's a proposal. It's taken back and reworked to make it more approachable, more user friendly. Can I have a seconder for that one, please? Heather seconding it. All in favour? We're going to go for that. Oh, brilliant. Thank you much. That's good.
Sorry, could you repeat that vote just so I can see?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
I was scribbling.
Sorry.
Ian,
You there? You can't see my hand, can you?
so six in favour. Ian, are you?
Oh, sorry. I forgot Ian's joined us.
Ian's with us.
Are you with us, Ian? You're on. Oh, Linda, are you? You're on mute.
Would you like to abstain, Ian?
Yeah, I think you want to stay really. I'm not too sure how much of that discussion you heard, so we'll pretend that you're not there for the time being, and if you could just sort of come back on board at some point. Okay, so we'll get rid of that one, and then we'll move on to the reserves policy, 183.4, which is where the amount of money in reserve is set as a recommended reserve. You've all again all seen the policy, all happy-ish?
Sorry, I've got one question.
Yeah.
How much notice do we have to give our employees?
Is that on the reserves?
Because under reserves, you keep 1 month's salary as reserves.
Right.
And I thought if we have to give more than 1 month's salary, we need more than that for reserves.
Right.
My contract currently says a month.
Sorry,
and would there be a redundancy payment to make as well? Do we need more than 1 month's salary?
That suggestion is from the JPAG. That's the Joint Practitioners Accountancy Guide that is produced every year by the top level guys, if you like, provide us with this written guide, and that's where that information comes from.
Hopefully it's not an unlikely issue. So bearing in mind that question, the rest of the policy group, are you happy to proceed as it currently is with that level of reserves? Yeah. Okay. Well, I propose that we sign it in its current form then. Another seconder for that, please. Peter seconding it. Yeah. All in favour? That's 1, 2, 3. And Ian, you're not with us yet, so we'll still stick with 6. Okay. But you will join us soon, won't you? Okay. So go on to item 183.5. This is the action plan. I'm right in saying I think that we haven't had one of these before. So it's a new one. Again, any comment? Any comment? Are we generally happy with it? No. Okay, that's good. So I propose that we sign that as final for this year. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Seconder, Heather, seconding it. All in favour? Show of hands. Fine. Are you happy? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So that's a 6. Right. Okay. Now I'll drop that down.
Right, Graham, I've got one other question.
You sure? Yeah.
So on the policies under description, traditionally I would say an annual review, but I'm just wondering whether some of these policies, like the equal opportunity and the reserves policy, could be every 2 years or every 3 years.
Oh, excellent idea. Nicola, what's sort of CAPALC now recommendations? Do you know?
This is in accordance with the standing orders of the council that says that all policies will be reviewed at the May meeting. Hello, Anne, you're with us.
Hi, yes, I've no idea what's going on, but apparently it's affected several people today. But apologies to everyone for being late. I have no idea where we are, obviously, on the agenda.
Okay, well, we've just, it's Graham here, we've just finished the policies. So we've just done the 183. Okay. Yeah, I mean, having said that, the policies could just be a tick in the box. You know, we're happy with them. Or alternatively, at some point, we could change our standing order policy and you know, have them reviewed, because there are an awful lot of policies, and if you do have to review them all in detail, it could be quite a time-consuming little number. Maybe it's the ones that we use more often that we perhaps should focus on, but that's something to consider for another day.
The standing orders are also up for review at the May meeting.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Now I'm aware now we can move on to clerks' contracts and whatever. I'm aware, as we've got some parishioners with us, is it okay if we move the bookcase up, which is the main concern or main interest for the parishioners who have joined us, apart from Andy? Can I propose that? Because the discussing the clerk's contract will be private, so that will go into closed session, and we will be placing parishioners into the green room. So I wouldn't want you to hang around while we chat about that and then come back to you. So if I have a second.
Would it, sorry to interrupt, would it be worth just moving that right down to sort of nearer the end of the agenda, that about the changes to clerk's contract, so that any parishioners who are interested in hearing the rest of the meeting, because we don't want to sort of, you know, make parishioners leave unintentionally, but I'm just thinking, you know, some of the other items on the agenda may be of interest to the parishioners.
Yeah, good point. Anybody care? I mean, I presume just from a point of view of order, Nicola, can it go anywhere?
Yep, and it's your discretion. It's chair's discretion.
Oh, blimey. So it could go after the accounts.
Yep.
Can I just I'd rethought there. Can we just, and I'm saying this knowing I'm terribly late, but can we just keep an eye on the time, the end time, and make sure we have enough time to discuss the contracts and so on? That's obviously a sensitive couple of issues there.
Well, I'll do what I can, certainly. Okay, so the proposal is that we put it to the end after the payments to be approved, and maybe before councillors' items.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Before we put it right to the end of the meeting, could we just ask the parishioners that are here whether they are interested in listening to the whole meeting, or is it just the issue with the book, the library?
I think that's a bit unfair because we are in closed session now, so I don't want to have it. It's not up to the parishioners to decide how we run our meetings in a sort of a rather authoritative manner. So I think we need to decide where to put it amongst ourselves. So I mean, it shouldn't be closed too long. So I'm going to suggest that we put it at the end after the accounts. Can I have a second for that, please? Seconding. Okay, all in favour?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Anne was 6. Kieran, are you against?
I'm against.
You're against. Okay, so that's 6. Oh, sorry, 7. Let's get up. I'm getting confused now. Are you okay with it, Nicola?
Yeah.
I'll stop calling up the scores because I forgot we're one missing. Okay, so we'll move that down to there. Thank you much. And if someone can remind me where it is when I get there. Shambles. Okay.
187 flooding report.
Yeah, thank you. To receive the flooding report and discuss. Now, Ian, this is your chance to shine. Are you with us now? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're still on mute. Oh, Sharon's gone. Ian's back. There you are.
Just going to move rooms, okay.
Okay, yeah. Good evening,
Right.
Ian.
Thank
Welcome.
you. First of all, apologies for this late arrival. And the other thing is I'm using an iPad that I've not used before. We're having not used any iPad at all. So that's why it was all messing around. But we're here.
We are.
Flood report. Right. You may recall that when this was discussed at the last meeting, we talked about the possibility that it was could be viewed as a sensitive item. And so what I have done with much help from the chair is to have rewritten it slightly, to slightly change the emphasis and avoid using the word flooding as often. Because when all was said and done, it was a heavy rain event. So that's what it is now called. So there has been this rewriting, which is largely just altering some of the words. The meaning has not been taken away. Since the last meeting, there have been 1 or 2 tasks undertaken. Gravely Way, the north-south culvert, that at its southern end is just in front of 12 Gravely Way. That was cleared by the local council, sorry, the local farmer, Peter Burton, much indebted to him for doing that, and it's now flowing quite freely. In addition, we managed to get the plastic can out of the second culvert in front of your property, Sharon. So that's made quite a bit of difference. And it was Graham who managed to see it and get it out.
Oh, thank you.
Great. No, that's okay. The other thing is that we have discussed the report with a couple of the affected residents on Gravely Way and said, what would you think about this being on the website? And both of them said, yeah, fair enough. One said, if you feel it's really sensitive, then why don't you just put the action points on the website? So at least that tells residents what you're doing. And I think that since we've rewritten it, it makes it even more acceptable to people. And it is far less sensitive than it could have been taken previously. So my thoughts along those lines are that it should be put on the website as it now stands. Do others think similarly or differently?
Yeah, I mean, there's two suggestions there, that we publish it as it is, or we just put the actions that the parish council are suggesting they should do. I mean, obviously it's important that you do understand what the actions are that the parish council feel that they should be taking.
Yeah.
Before that is published. So I mean, I presume you've all seen it. Take the vote first. I mean, we can take the vote first. Ian's suggestion is that it's published in its entirety as it stands. Obviously, if we do get sorry, Peter, you seconding or just?
Can I just say thank you, Ian? And
that's
Graham,
okay.
Because at the last meeting, we specifically asked for residents along Gravely Way to be consulted on this before it was published. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we do get a dirge of complaints. We'll have to a surge of complaints. We'll have to consider if we redact it at all. But I think it's not. It's of interest rather than hopefully it's not too sensitive. So that's a suggestion that we publish it in its current form on the website. Kind of a seconder for that, please. Heather seconding it. All in favour? Show of hands.
Yeah.
And saying yes. Okay, that's everybody.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, that's on Sharon's back. Well spotted. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move back on to 188. This is to receive a report from the Pavilion Working Group. Kieran, can I pass that across to you?
Yeah, so
please.
The Pavilion Working Group met for the first time after quite a long period of not meeting. So we had to refresh ourselves on a few things first. We discussed the Planning Commission and when that runs out, which is on the 18th of December this year. Although I believe HDC are giving extensions to those at the moment, but that will need confirming. We discussed about what the pavilion was going to be used for again, and we came up with it mainly being a sports pavilion with some other potential uses like a PC meeting room. We discussed funding and how much funding the resources of the Hilton Parish Council already had and what other opportunities there might be. And we discussed the consideration of breaking the work down into various levels, and in order to initially ensure that the building is maintained in its stable form, and then progressively taking on more and more works and costs, so that ultimately we could put a specification together of maybe 3 options: the minimum, the medium amount of work, and the maximum amount of work. and then we could go out to tender to get a more realistic idea of what the cost of this would be. And we also discussed the need for extending the building to the north to create a storage unit, actually how much use that would be and what are the implications of that in terms of security and cost and et cetera, and also the fact it's we would need section 38 to do that on common land. So they were roughly the topics of discussion. Out of that came 3 action points, which are still being done. Those action points are to resurvey the building again and try and identify these 3 areas of work: minimum, medium, maximum. Ed and I have done that, and we have a draft form of those 3 types of specification, which we would like to present to the work group at some point during March. So we will call this meeting back again, and then if everybody's happy, we'll then present that to the parish council. Second action was Ed was going to contact Stanton Football Club, and I believe has been talking to other people as well, like cycle clubs, to see where, you know, can we really fulfil the remit of this being a sports pavilion. So Ed's taken that on, and then Peter very kindly took on the investigating funding and looking at the various possibilities and options that are available to us. So, as I said, the plan is that once we've presented all this back to the work group, that this will then be, our recommendations will be discussed at the next parish council meeting. Peter, do you want to add something?
Just that I'm still waiting for some information regarding previous funding applications to be sent to me.
Okay.
Okay, so that's sort of work in hand, and we'll
work in progress, absolutely.
An invite for the next working group. Okay. Now, Nicola, do I need to propose that we accept that, or just general chat? It's fine, is it?
There's no actions from it.
No. Okay. So just an update. Okay, fair enough. Right. Now, item 189 is to reconsider the installation of the bookcase in the bus shelter. This is a special motion. So normally we don't discuss something for 6 months, otherwise it's just constant changing. So, but obviously, if it's done, if sufficient councillors request that it's reconsidered, that can be the case. So I don't know whether any of you 4, does anyone want to sort of lead with this at all? Peter? Okay, thank you.
I'm happy to lead on it. So at the last meeting, there was a sense that following the provision of evidence of a fire having been set in the bus shelter, that perhaps the position of the bus stop library should be reconsidered. Our insurance company had said to the clerk that on the basis there'd been no fire there before, no problem. However, we were provided with evidence from a parishioner of a fire having been set in the bus shelter. So that has led us to say we think that this positioning of the library should be reconsidered, because being aware of a fire having been set, does that not invalidate our insurance cover? Nicola has written to the insurance company asking them that sort of question. I am aware that a reply has come in, but that's come in today, so I don't know whether we're allowed to include that in this item.
I have included it in the supporting documents, those councillors that are low on Dropbox.
All right, then, and the insurance company, I think if you'll pardon the pun, say that it'd be adding fuel to the fire potentially. I think that's what they said. And I think from that, it sort of says that they would not, you know, they're saying that it wouldn't be covered.
Can I just ask, I know it's a pretty fundamental question, but do we know the bus shelter is actually ours?
Yes, it's on the asset register.
Yeah.
Right, okay. But do we have a title for it, or?
The bus shelter.
No, so
I haven't come across any title deeds, but I haven't been to the depths of the filing cabinet or village hall loft yet.
okay.
A lot more to come.
It's appeared on the asset register for many years, hasn't it?
Yes.
And we also have a complaint from a resident who would have to live, you know, who lives there, saying that they're not happy that it's going in.
Yeah,
So
but to be fair, that was received at the time. We did have that at the time of when we agreed to it. I think the point that you're saying is that the fire came, the evidence of the fire came afterwards.
Correct. Yes.
And to say we've just you've more or less read out what the insurers said, haven't you?
Mm. So so the 5 councillors who submitted this special resolution believe that the location of the bookcase library should be reconsidered.
Any councillors take a comment? Yeah,
do we have alternatives in mind?
I missed that, Anne.
Sorry, beg your pardon. Do we have any alternative locations?
Personally, I was thinking perhaps inside the church, if the church would be amenable.
Possibly the village hall.
Or the village hall, if they were amenable
in the entrance
to being installed, because then at least it would be safe at night, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Could we utilise some part of the pavilion?
I don't think pavilions fit for use at the moment until it's developed, so that would delay it quite a while.
Fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, Heather.
So I think we need to be really careful about what we are deciding here. The insurance company actually said the decision was up to us. They weren't telling us one way or the other whether we could do it or not. I did email the councillors a comment to this, but only 2 people have replied to say they've read it. So I would like to say that libraries like this started in 2012. There are now thousands and thousands of them across the country, which are really well used by villagers. And as our 3 parishioners spoke earlier on today, it's a real asset for people who can't drive to have access to this sort of facility. In my research, I've only found evidence of 2 fires, which did demolish the book content. We're talking about a brick-built structure here. And our evidence for a fire is a small pile of leaves that was set alight. And we have photographic evidence for that. The brick-built structure is unlikely to go up into flames given the books. And we could, if necessary, mitigate and say, well, we're only going to have 50 books in there or whatever, if that would make people feel a little bit happier about what we're being proposed. When I was aware that this item was being raised tonight, I did make the effort to go along and look in the bus shelter every evening, and I've done that for 5 nights now. And there are no people occupying that bus shelter between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. on any evening that I've looked at. So there is a risk, but the risk is minimal. And the advantages have got to outweigh the risks that we're talking about. So I would encourage people to take the risk. Let's offer a service to parishioners and see how we get on.
Can I ask a question, possibly from Nicola on this one? If we were to propose this, are we out on a limb legally if, God forsake, somebody got injured by this? And the fact that we are now no longer insured.
So it does say applicable to the whole policy other than liability insurance. So your liability insurance, the section that the insurers are quoting to you to say that at your own expense you will take all reasonable precautions to prevent or diminish damage or any occurrence, is applicable to the whole policy other than liability insurance.
So we would be liable.
I would read that your liability insurance is not affected.
So on that basis, and given there's risk with everything in life, and there is an argument, I guess, that says if there is something of value in there, albeit not huge value perhaps, then people are less likely to misuse the space.
Right.
So I've got some sympathy with Heather's view. There's risks in everything, but being on the main street and little used in the evenings, then I think the attraction too is that it's openly available. Nobody has to go and get a key or contact somebody else in order to go pick up a book.
I mean,
So whatever, if we had it anywhere else that was open, we'd have the same risk.
I think Peter's idea is pretty good. The church is great because it's open from 10 till 4 every day, I believe.
Yes.
It's got somebody going in there checking it. They're obviously used to storing books, so I think I might.
But won't it be locked?
If we ask them.
I don't think the church is a possibility because the sorts of materials you keep in a church are very specific to a religious organisation. These are secular books that we're talking about, and nobody's asked the church whether or not they want them in there. Yeah. It's a very different matter. And no other village, parish councils across the country are approving this sort of event for the benefit of their parishioners.
I completely agree with the library's a great idea. It's the location I have issue
I'm
with.
uncomfortable.
Well, I mean,
but if the library's in an open space, which the bus shelter is, and therefore is accessible, isn't that a risk that's always going to be there?
And I suppose there are cars going past as well that will see misbehaviour if misbehaviour is happening.
We have evidence of misbehaviour happening provided by a parishioner. We've had evidence of misbehaviour happening as evidence provided by a parishioner, of evidence of a fire being set in the bus pavilion.
It's a small pile of leaves, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's not a bonfire, it's a small pile of leaves.
But a fire's a fire. Doesn't matter how big or small it is it?
It's in a brick building.
Yeah, but also I think maybe.
It's just one incident, isn't it? And how many decades?
Also, I think you've got to maybe give our youngsters a bit of credibility. You could argue whether that fire would have been started if books had been there. But having done some work in there, I'm not at all happy about the roof. I'm pretty convinced it's got asbestos in it because it's of an age when it was a common practice, and also the main rafter is rotten at one end, and obviously if a fire did start, whether it was books or not, it would be rather unpleasant for the asbestos dust or the fumes to be blown around everywhere. I appreciate the asbestos, if it is asbestos, I appreciate that isn't going to be the cause of the fire, but it's something that we don't want to accentuate. So that would be my reason for not wanting it in the bus shelter at this moment. But I do understand also that if you're going to put it in the church or put it in a village hall, you've still got the same risk because you'd have to have it manned all the time, and these are only books.
Could we maybe do a trial for say 3 months or something and just see how it is? Because there seems to be a lot of parishioners who really want this service, and the resident who sort of opposed it is actually moving house anyway. So I don't think, and we've already kind of discussed that and approved it in the last meeting. So it just seems to me there are a lot of parishioners who would use this service, and there's a book club in the village. So maybe we could do a trial for 3 months and just see.
I would be happy with that. If that were to be a case, I'm happy to continue to walk around and see who's there in an evening. My idea is that when I find anybody there, I'm actually going to ask them to be like book monitors so that they can keep an eye on it for us.
That'll stop them going in there.
Pardon?
I said that will stop them going in there.
Well, maybe. But also, this is on a public route. If there is a fire there, the fire brigade would be called very quickly. But there are 2 fires across the country that have been reported since 2012. Hilton residents are nice people and they don't vandalise things like this.
And actually, when you think the pavilion is an ideal place for teenagers to start a fire because it's all wood, you know, we haven't ever had, thank goodness, a fire started in the pavilion, because actually most of the youngsters hang out on the green, don't they? Not on the bus, in the bus shelter.
Yeah. I think we should approve it. Give it a go.
Okay. I'm not happy about the roof, so I will be voting against it on the roof pending further investigation. Now, I don't know if you've all had enough discussion or whether you've got anything else to add. So I will propose that the library is stalled until we have further information. Is that oh, sorry, Peter?
Can I ask, because the item on the agenda is a proposal to reconsider the installation of the bookcase in the book shelter.
Okay.
Can we change the resolution?
You can put an amendment to it, but you can't negate it.
Okay. So
you can't. So we'd have to vote on that amendment, on that recommendation proposal.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the proposal in front of us is to reconsider the installation in the bookcase, the bookcase and bus shelter. Reconsider the installation of the bookcase. It's a bit ambiguous, isn't it? It doesn't actually say it.
No.
Anne?
Sorry, it doesn't actually suggest a for or against. It's just saying reconsider it. So yes, we're doing that. We're reconsidering it.
Yes.
And some are saying yes, let's do it, and some are saying no, let's not.
Yes. Okay. So I think that, so based on what's in front of me, the proposal is to reconsider the installation of the bookcase in the bus shelter. So based on what you've heard tonight, that's the proposal. Kind of a seconder for that, please. That we are going to reconsider.
We have been reconsidering. Now, do we decide to go ahead or not with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not what it says.
that is because in the supporting documents, the proposal is we request the Parish Council reconsider the installation of the bookcase in the bus shelter now that the Parish Council has been provided with evidence of a fire having been set in the shelter. In our opinion, this information would invalidate the Parish Council insurance cover on the shelter, and an alternative site for the bookcase should be sought. That was the proposed motion.
Can I just check? The insurance company haven't said that it invalidates the insurance, have they?
No.
You've got the response from the insurance company. So
And they have said they don't make a decision for us, it's our decision.
Yeah.
But the last line is...
They've quoted a section from their policy to say that reasonable precautions which are applicable to the whole policy other than liability, money, personal accident, travel and officials liability is that the policyholder at his own expense shall take all reasonable precautions to prevent or diminish damage or any occurrence or cease any activity which may give rise to liability under this policy.
So the fact that we have a team of people who are going to inspect it on a daily basis, and the fact that I'm prepared to walk around in an evening for the next month to see if there's anybody there would be reasonable steps.
In your opinion?
In my opinion.
What would the insurance company say about that?
I can go back and ask them, but say I've given you their word for word comment.
Can I make a suggestion, given that the resolution isn't that clear on here? Mm-hmm. I think that the disclosure that the roof of the bus shelter may contain asbestos needs to be investigated, because there are different things that apply to asbestos and the safe removal of, and what would happen if that was damaged and the fibres out and about. And so I do think we need to look at that seriously. It would change anything with regards to, we may have to do some remedial work on the bus shelter to repair that aspect, remove and safely dispose of.
And wouldn't that be true of the pavilion as well?
I don't know. I don't know whether there's asbestos in the
You can't just do
pavilion.
asbestos on one asset, you have to do
There's not so
asbestos on
much.
everything.
No,
I don't think the pavilion has asbestos, but I
No,
could be wrong.
doesn't.
I don't even know that the bus shelter's got it, but it looks pretty much like it.
Needs to be investigated, I think.
But indeed, and I say,
It's a position, isn't it?
I'm not too sure that we've done enough risk assessment on this at the moment. I mean, we're not saying no to library, we're just stalling.
Graham.
Yeah.
Graham, sorry. Given the issues you've raised about the roof and looking at the state of the bus shelter from photographs and having walked past it many times, are we actually saying that we need another agenda item for a different day, which is to look at our responsibility in maintaining the bus shelter and to decide what to do for it, with it, etc., to make sure that it's hale and hearty. And once we've decided on that, to then reconsider the use of it as a bookcase.
Yes, exactly, because let's face it, it's not going to necessarily be the books that set fire to it. Any fire could start in there, and it's still going to be the same risk. So I would concur with that exactly. That the bus shelter needs to be checked out as a safe building. I say at the moment, I'm not happy about the main joist that runs across it. I think there's far more
made of wood and which is made of wood. The bus shelter is not purely made of concrete.
No, it's only a small piece of wood, but
Sure.
There's
fascia as well as fascia boards around the
I can
entirety.
assure you. Okay, so
Can I just ask something else, please?
yeah, sorry.
I would really like to know, I know it's on the asset register, but I'd really like to know on what legal basis we do own it. It stands on Cambridge County Council land as far as I can see from the maps. So I just want to know what our liabilities for this structure actually are. Is that something if we are going to investigate more, is that coming up on the list of things to find out?
I think so, and I say you've got the roof. I'd like to do a risk assessment because we haven't perhaps challenged whether we're covering all the risks, and then we need to be sure of the ownership and the land upon which it sits. So maybe that's three things that we need to consider that maybe we haven't. So are there any other issues that you want, Heather?
Can I just ask, if it's not asbestos and if it does belong to us, are we going to put a library in there?
I don't know. We'll have to decide that at the next meeting.
But we have already made a decision.
Yes, we have, but I think
it's going to be there.
Yes, but I say because it's a special motion, the 5 councillors brought it back. I understand it. We're allowed to discuss it as a new item, which is what we're doing. Nobody said they don't want a library. We're just uncertain that we're uncertain that the bus shelter is the best place for it. So I'm suggesting that it goes back for a bit more consideration. It's a question of when that information is available as to when it comes back. So that's what I'm going to propose, that it goes back for more consideration. Kind of a seconder for that, please.
Sorry, just one other thing that's raised is an alternative site. Is somebody going to look into that?
Okay, we could, yeah, I suppose we could. We've had several sites mentioned, and it wouldn't be unreasonable for us to approach the owners of those 3 sites. And if anybody else can think of a site, but if you're of a time when you have to sort of make sure you've got access to it through reasonable hours. So I mean, if anyone can think of an alternative site, bearing in mind, the advantage that the bus shelter has, then please put your thinking caps on and let us know. In the meantime, we'll review the questions that have been raised. I think the important thing is that we have to be happy, and it's better to get it sorted now rather than having to take it out because it wasn't quite right. I appreciate it's a bit awkward. Peter, are you now seconding me, please?
No, I was going to ask whether we could seek further clarification from the insurance company.
Absolutely.
Surely we've had enough, haven't we?
I don't think their statement gives us quite enough answers.
It's very loose.
But surely they're going, well, their effectively it's up to you to decide, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
it's up to you to. I think what they're saying is up to you to take the risk.
Yes, exactly.
We may or may not indemnify you.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get much more clarity than that.
Yeah,
and that's the risk, isn't it? So anyway, back for more information. That's the proposal. Can I have a seconder, please? No. Oh yes, X, if you're seconding. All in favour? Show of hands.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's 1, 2. Oh,
Yes,
7.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, fine. That's right. And then Heather, are you against?
I'm against.
You're against. Okay, so that's 7-1.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And that's so we'll go back to the, I wouldn't say drawing board, because we know what we're actually drawing. We just need to
And who is doing all of that work?
I'll sort it out with Nicola. Trust me. Okay, so hopefully for the next meeting, but we'll set you an update on that. Okay, thank you very much. Bookcase, because right. Now this one you might need your diaries to hand for. This is to agree the dates of the April and May meetings of the council, the annual parish meeting, with consideration to the fact that the coronavirus legislation that allows remote meetings currently expires on the 7th of May. Now, all councils would have seen this, but just to sort of bring in the parishioners, as of 7th of May, we will be obliged to meet in public. That's quite a concern. And so the suggestion is that we should do as much business as possible before that date, not so that any meetings that have to be done after that date are as short as possible. So we are intending to bring meetings forward in line with what you've had put there in your supporting documents. Is that a general sort of summary? So if we go into supporting docs, bus shelter, return to face-to-face meetings. So this is item 190. Picking up here. Yeah. Okay, so there's there's always a chance that the rules could be extended, but we have to assume they're not. So I'm just going through here looking for the dates.
You're within the PowerPoint.
No, I'm not.
Summarise the
sorry, I'm looking at the actual document that's issued by now. Sorry.
Page 14.
Page 14?
Yeah.
Thank you,
15.
Ian. Well, I'll start on that one to see what happens. Yeah. Right. Page 14. Okay. So the first Monday in April is April the 4th, which is Easter Monday. Now, I don't think we'd meet on that day. So it would normally be moved to Monday, the 12th of April. The first Monday in May is a bank holiday. The meeting would normally be moved to the next Monday, 10th of May. 10th of May is obviously beyond the 7th of May. So now and others are pressing the MHCGL, government, obviously local government ending to it, to extend regulation. In the meantime, suggestions from now is to hold annual parish meetings prior to the expiry regulations, hold annual meetings of the council, consider as much business as possible for May, and all the etc. things. So if we just move on down. This is interesting. Now,
can I ask a question, Graham?
Please do, because I'm struggling a bit. So do ask.
I kind of have two. There seem to be two messages here. There seems to be an obligation that we meet face to face coming up on the one hand, and on the other, us being pressed to not meet face to face to cover off most of our business, which seems a bit crazy to me. If meeting face to face is risky, then we shouldn't be doing it. So I don't really understand what this is about.
Okay.
Apart from following somebody's rule.
It's not an obligation that we have to meet. The obligation is that that virtual meetings will no longer be legal from May the 7th. I think that's right, Nicola.
For clarification there, it's not a rule, it's the law. So this is from the legislation. The coronavirus legislation that was put in to allow remote meetings was set with an expiry date, and that expiry date is the 7th of May. So after that point, the remote meetings like we're currently doing will be illegal.
Now, obviously, there's still 2 months to go. Maybe people are looking at it. I mean, the fact that we're doing it, it wouldn't take much to extend it. It's not the same as it was back in April, where we had to sort of start this whole system. So if things take a bad turn and they extend it, it's quite possible. But I think because of the fact we have to plan ahead, the suggestion is that we don't want face-to-face meetings at the moment. And therefore we need to try and do as much business beforehand so that any meetings that are face-to-face are for the shortest possible. So the recommendation is to set the date for the annual parish meeting in March or April. Now, this is the meeting where we present what we've done to the we present our activities to the parish, and any organisations can present their accounts as well, and a general sort of update for the year. So this is the meeting for the parish.
Yeah, just to clarify that the annual parish meeting is not a council meeting. It's the parish meeting convened by the chair of the council.
Yeah, so that's open to all, and it's a far more sort of casual meeting where we just mull through what we've done. Now, that has to be held between March and May, but obviously in this case we're talking about having it in March or April. So anybody got any preference as to when they'd like it, assuming that you're all happy? I mean, that particular meeting has to be held, so it's just being suggested in March or April. Now, bearing in mind what's coming up in April, I would suggest a date in March might be better, because we've got 2 meetings hopefully in April, but I'm open to suggestions.
How much notice do you have to give, Graham?
I presume it's just the 3 days, is it?
7 days.
7 days. Okay. Is that 7 working days?
No, it's 7 clear days.
Okay, so it wouldn't include Sunday.
Doesn't include Sunday, bank holidays, days of national mourning, day of the meeting, day of notice.
Okay, so it's effectively sort of 10 days, isn't it? 10 real days. So yeah.
Can I suggest the 22nd of March?
Okay. As he said, it was good to have your diary on, even though you hadn't.
That's a Monday, isn't it?
It is. I'm just picking a random Monday.
Yeah.
With a bit of leeway.
Yeah. I mean, 22nd, 10 days from the 12th, that gives us a week to plan things, isn't it, beforehand? Although having said that, of course, we can always write our reports after the agendas have been written, can't we? Nicola, how's that for you?
Yeah, that works for me.
That's for you? Okay.
That works for me.
Okay, so that's the proposal, that we have the annual parish meeting on the 22nd of March. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Yeah, okay, all in favour? You all sort of, yeah. And Sharon, are you in favour of that? Sharon's sort of there.
Sharon's gone.
I do abstain. Okay.
Yes, I'm still here. Can you hear
okay.
me?
Yeah, I can now. Yes, you on mute.
Sorry.
That's fine. So that's
sorry,
all.
I've lost my I'm just gonna transfer to a laptop. Sorry, my battery's gone.
Okay.
On my phone.
Well, that was all in favour. That's 8.
Sorry, was Sharon in favour of that motion?
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So we would hold the April meeting. Okay, so the April meeting that would normally be on the 4th, we're moving out to the 12th. Wouldn't that be on the 5th?
5th, yeah.
Why is it going out? Sorry, why is it recommending me going out to the Tuesday?
The 12th.
The recommendation, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused here. The suggestion is that we hold the April meeting on the 12th of April.
It's a Monday. It's the following Monday.
Okay.
Why wouldn't we have it on the Monday?
Sorry, I'm getting confused with Easter Sunday. Yeah, okay. So the suggestion there is we have the April meeting on the 12th of April. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Yeah, Heather, okay, all in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sharon, are you happy with that? Not too sure. Okay, so that's at least 7 of us.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah.
That's 8. Okay, thank you. And then we would hold the May meeting normally on the Monday the 3rd. We would move it to Tuesday the 4th, or the 5th, or Thursday the 6th. So we've got Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Anybody care?
Tuesday for me.
Thursday's the only day I couldn't do.
Sorry?
I can't do the Thursday the 6th.
Okay, so let's
I
go
can do
for
everything else.
let's go for the Tuesday in case problems crop up then. So I'm going to suggest that we go for Tuesday, the 4th of May. Can I have a seconder for that, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Ian seconding. All those in favour? Show of hands. Yeah. And
Yes,
Anne,
I can.
yeah. Sharon's happy. Anne, are you happy? Fine.
Yeah.
Good.
Remind me
Okay.
of the Tuesday the 4th, yeah?
Yes, Tuesday 4th. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And therefore, hopefully, if the dates still continue, stage 4, when all social distancing is removed on June 21st, we would have our meetings after that. But it does rather depend if anything urgent crops up as to how we meet thereafter. And obviously, it also depends where we can meet. So it's a case of watch this space. But that's fine at the moment. And then obviously we would have to potentially consider how we're going to arrange a scheme of delegation in terms of authorising payments, but that doesn't need to be done at the moment. So that's the proposal. So that's good. Thank you very much for sorting that out. Hope you've put the dates in the diary.
Yeah.
And then we'll take it from there. So back to the agenda. Where are we? Discuss playground inspections. Okay. So item 191. This is discuss and decide upon the appointment of a playground inspection. Variety of prices there. It hasn't been inspected since it was installed. Well, it's been over a year since it was last inspected, so it's due for inspection. Anybody got any feelings as to who we should go with?
Happy with the recommendation?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's interesting how it's cheaper if it's unaccompanied. So I would suggest then that we go for Wicksteed, because we had them before.
Yeah.
The reports we get are in a sort of tabular form, and they seem quite helpful. And they do seem to be the cheapest price, even taking into account the 2-year option that the manufacturers are offering us. So I propose that we go for an unaccompanied Wicksteed. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Heather seconding it. All in favour? Show of hands.
Yeah.
Yes,
Peter?
me too.
Okay, and Anne's happy. Okay, so that's that.
Yeah.
So Peter, were you in favour?
Against? Put yourself on mute, mate.
I'm waiting for the other options to cast.
Against. Okay, are you against? Or abstaining? Abstaining. Okay. Right. Okay, so that's that one. Moving back to the agenda. Okay, to appoint an internal auditor. Now, again, we've got in your supporting documents, you've got 3 auditors. Nicola's got quotes for 3 auditors. Variety of prices, pretty similar, but whatever. Now, I suppose we shouldn't really be mentioning names, should we? So we've got the first one. There's 200, there's a 200, and there's a potential 150. Although that's per hour, and an estimation of 5 to 6 hours. So there's a potential of £150, but we don't really know. So it's a question of whether we go with who we normally go for, or we go for a cheaper option. Anybody got any suggestions?
Happy with
My
the third
feeling
one,
is-
actually.
Sorry, Heather?
I said I'm happy with the third one.
Okay. Peter?
Option A is the person who's done it for many years.
Yes.
And I take it by quoting, they're happy to continue to do it should they be asked.
Yeah. Yeah. And the same as the previous years.
And option 3, we don't know actually what it is going to be, do we? You're saying 5 to 6 hours. Is that?
Yeah, that you're right. That is an estimate.
It's an estimation based on what he could view on our website as to the size of the council budget, precepts, so on and so forth.
The sample report he gave was very thorough, and he's from Capalp.
That's true. My opinion is that as we've used option A for a number of years, that we go with that option, but maybe suggest that we might not be able to continue in that relationship. I don't know whether that's allowed to be mentioned. Because it would appear that there are cheaper options out there.
It's the public money.
Can I?
We've got to go the cheapest one, haven't we? If we're going to provide a good service.
Not necessarily. You're not required to go for the cheapest option.
Can I just put that having the same auditor year after year is not necessarily a good thing. There are benefits, but there is a risk of their being a wee bit complacent. They think they know you and can relax a little bit, in my view. So I think at times having an alternative provider can be quite a good thing. So I'd be happy to go with Mr. Gutteridge for a while. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say. Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have a preference? There's a sort of split vote there. Yeah.
I must admit, my reaction is that if it ain't broke, why fix it? It seems to have worked well. Possibly your caveat that you added, Graham, would be a useful one to put in.
Yeah, I think so, because let's face it, it's what's been going on for some time, but maybe it's time for us to potentially move away if the prices are not correct. Heather,
would it be possible to go to option A and to say we have had a cheaper quote and to ask him to reconsider that?
Do we get into sort of bargaining? What do you think, Nicola? I mean, you've obviously got the price.
But he's charged the same price for a number of years. If that's what the council chooses, I can ask the question.
I think it's worth asking. Times are tough for lots of people at the minute, and it can't be surprising. People are pushing for prices to come down a bit.
Trouble is, you might have to do that to option 2 as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, presumably you could ask. I mean, when do we need to get the auditor sorted out by, Nicola?
Ideally today. Normally I would be instructing the auditor, I would be preparing the documents throughout March so that we were ready to go 1st of April. I can finalise the accounts, and I would expect to have the documents with the auditor before the next council meeting on the 12th, because we're obviously a week behind.
Okay.
The deadlines for submission to the external auditor, and obviously there's other ducks to get in the row before we can get to the external auditor, are, as far as I'm aware, going to be the standard deadlines this year, which means that our period of public participation has to include that week in July.
Okay. Well,
Nicola,
with that in mind,
something in your time that would mean that it would be better to have somebody who was familiar.
Potentially, yeah. It will take less time to hand over to somebody who knows us and knows our documents than potentially going through it in detail with a new auditor. Yeah,
that's where I was going to go. Obviously, we do seem to be a bit short of time, and the fact that we're moving our April meeting out by a week isn't going to help the situation. So I'm going to propose that on this occasion we stick with our normal auditor, option A. Kind of a seconder for that, please.
Before you put the vote, are we going with your caveat or not?
Yes, I do. Yes, please. And that's,
don't want to do that. I think that's a really bad thing to do. To say we're going to give you the job, but by the way, you're too expensive. I think you can't do that. You've either got to complain about the price and negotiate, or you don't give him the job, or you accept his quote and go with it.
I mean, no. I mean, I would suggest that we accept his quote, but just say that we have had cheaper ones, but next year we might have to reconsider. Is that? We haven't had a cheaper one. We've got an estimate. Okay.
All he needs to do is have one mistake, one detail that takes him another couple of hours, and it's the same price as everybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
So potentially more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
play with a straight bat here, I think.
Okay. So based on that, then it would just be accepting the quote. That's the proposal with no caveats. Seconded, Peter.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favour of that option? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much. Okay, that's good. Moving on to the next item.
Sorry to interrupt, Nicola. Could you let me in on my laptop if I just leave leave the meeting off my phone?
There we go.
Thank you.
It's gone ski. Okay, right. Item 193 to discuss.
Are you still there, Ed?
Well, he can.
I just need to mark him as absent.
Yeah, he's definitely gone somewhere. Item 193 to discuss and decide whether to release a digital version of the village map. Now, this was raised by Kieran, so I'm going to ask Kieran to present the reasons for and against.
Well, really, what Andy said earlier, actually. This has been, at the time when it was first done, it had a few uses why we did it in the first place. Then we thought we might be able to sell a few. We haven't really sold many. I think we've only sold 2 in the last year, is that right?
That's right.
So I think the time has come for this, perhaps this piece of work to sort of have a more free access. I think it could be useful for lots of things. So it's under Hilton Parish Council copyright at the moment. That will remain. But to have it available in a PDF format on a reduced size at a suitable resolution seems to be quite a nice thing to offer to the village.
Okay. Anybody got any comments? Or I mean, it was when we went to training, it was one of the things that you're supposed to have on your parish council website as a map, so people can see where they are. So I mean, having a map. My own concern is the fact that we sold these maps and now it's going to be available free on the internet. But I mean, it's a question of whether it's not actually apples for apples, and that what we're offering is not the same as what we were charging for. So I don't know whether I can be reassured of that one.
Well, we sold an A2 printed map for £5, whereas this is it's just a file, isn't it?
So you would need a special printer to print it off at the size that we're currently selling them at.
You can print it off at any size. You might not be able to read it, but you can print it off.
Am I right in saying that it's Willie Wilson who's been printing these for us?
Yes.
Would it not be possible to say on the website, printed copies of this map are available for £5 or £10 in an A2 size?
Yeah,
there are still printed copies in the filing cabinet.
Sorry, how many?
I'm not sure how many, at least 10 printed copies currently in the filing cabinet, which is what I sold earlier in the year.
Sure.
So that could get over Graham's concern, is that if you did what Ian said, you can say they are available printed for £5, or you can download the PDF.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you think that anybody who's bought one will be offended? Because one of my suggestions was going to be that we actually...
No. Selling a different item.
I'll try not to be.
Well, that doesn't look like is that A2, Ian?
Yes.
Is it?
There we go.
Okay.
Is it the right way up?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah. I mean, my suggestion was going to be put it on the website and then in case anybody responded, because I say I'm not too sure those that have got it whether they'd be upset, but I'm not getting much.
So. I don't think so.
No? I don't think so.
But if the file online is a lower resolution, you can't print it at the same quality that Ian has, so it shouldn't be an issue.
No, exactly.
Is that the case, Kieran? Would you make it low resolution, or?
I think you'd have to, because at the moment it's 80 megabytes. So
okay. So as long as we're not giving away the thing that we were selling, artists get in trouble for doing that. So based on the fact that it's not the same item, and you say I suppose you might get more sales if you say that the A2 version is available, because previously we've just said there is a map.
That's
so
right.
if you actually saw what you were getting, there might be some sales. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a proposal that it's put on the website. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Oh, Heather seconding it. All in favour? Show of hands. Yeah, fine. Okay, thank you very much. That's good. Right, what's this? I think it's Peter's turn. Yes, to receive the report from the LHI meeting regarding the 2021 bid for a 24-hour, 7.5 ton traffic restriction order on the B1040. This was what was presented by Peter last week.
That's correct, Graham.
Fire
So
away.
we did the 500 words following the last meeting, and that was knocked about by Heather and Kieran and myself. Nicola kindly submitted it to HDC on our behalf, and last week I attended it was actually CCC. It was a set of Cambridge County councillors, at which I was allowed 3 minutes to say what was in the 500 words, and then be ready for questions. Now, in supporting documents are the questions that I received. So we have the county councillor for God, Manchester and Huntingdon raising the point that they would object to the traffic being diverted along the old A14 down the 1198 because of all the development that's happened in God, Manchester alongside that road, and also because there is future development planned. There's plots of land which will go directly onto the A road. We had a little bit of a discussion regarding A roads and B roads, for which his comment was that it might not be an A road forever because of the amount of residential development that's gone on there, but I'm not sure you can necessarily downgrade an A road to a B road. Then a gentleman from Yaxley and Farset was just asking where the traffic was coming from that would go through Hilton down the 1040. So I explained about all the guys up in St Ives. If you want to go A1 South, put it in your Google Maps and it takes you through Hilton. And again, we talked about numbers of vehicles on the road. And then Councillor Downs from Brampton and Buckton was shocked by the number of commercial vehicles going through the village. But I was able to point out to him that the figures that he had were actually Cambridge County Council figures from July last year. And yes, it was unacceptable that this amount of traffic was on a B road, and that's why we were looking for this ban on HGVs through the village, and that's why we've come to Hilton has come to Cambridge County Council on numerous times to try and get this, and that given the costings of it were quoted by themselves as less than outlined previously on the LHI bid, we were understood that it might be about £18,000, but the cost in the feasibility study was just over 10. I explained that we're very, very keen for this to happen. And that was it. They go off and it goes to the Highways and Transport Committee in June, and we're advised shortly thereafter what the outcome is.
Okay, fine.
Any questions?
No,
I can't really say much more than that. That's what happened.
Thank you.
Did you get much sort of feeling there was a tension to it or interest from the panel?
I think that it's interesting that if it's a panel that personal, it's a county-wide panel, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So you've got the personal views of one councillor who represents one of the towns there, putting his views across, which, is that county-wide or is that parochial? I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then the other two gentlemen, one was very concerned about the number of vehicles, but then, where he represents Brampton and Buckton, they've got great concerns about the traffic around them all the time, haven't they?
Yeah. Okay.
So there was no feeling as to whether there was a support or non-support of the.
Okay. So, anyway, thank you for doing that. That's
pleasure.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Item 195: discuss and decide whether to send a parish plan questionnaire to all residents, with the various costs here, plus a possible £19 per month. Now, I think we've had issues here before about the costings of stuff. Presumably this has come back from the parish plan people, parish plan working group. So, yeah, I mean, if I can throw a spanner in the works, I'm still not happy that sending out a survey at this time is a good time. The various reasons mentioned, and and I would have difficulty in supporting sending a questionnaire out to all parishioners, but that's just a personal view. I don't know what else others people think.
I think it's time we did it. I think it's time we actually found out what people were thinking, feeling, because the whole lockdown situation may well have changed people's views as to what's important, and we need to know what those views are so that we can focus next year's effort and beyond.
Okay, Kieran was first. Sorry, are you still wanting to talk, Kieran?
Yes, please. Same point as I raised last time. In section D, I think it's 15, about do you think the parish council should create a provision for centralised charging? I still think that you're going to potentially create a feeling that we have the potential to do this. I haven't seen any feasibility of whether that's possible. So I know it could be argued that you don't ask the question, you don't need to have all that information by asking a question like this, but I think you really do. Otherwise you create an expectation which we can't deliver on. So I'm still against it because of this one question.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? Why don't we just add at the end, in gathering your views, you can't guarantee we'll respond to all of what you want.
That's a caveat. I think you still read into it what you want to read into it when you do the survey.
Peter, do you
Well,
sorry.
I was just going to mention that in the coming month, every household is going to have a census to complete.
Yeah.
And I would hate if the parish council were to agree to a questionnaire to go out, that it was done in March, because I think it would get lost in the fact that everybody's going to be focusing on this census.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm of the opinion that, I mean, Anne mentioned about a good time with COVID and different ideas. I think it's completely opposite, that people are doing things differently and maybe thinking differently, and we're asking for information that is hopefully going to take us through for what the last one did, 17 years. I also question which one would have priority. If we get different answers on this one than we did from the previous one, and we get a less response, I don't know which one would carry the weight. And I still think there's enough information in the previous plan to actually work on. I don't know if we actually actively work on the plan. So when we had a meeting, we're coming on to obviously Nicola's actions later on, but there was an interesting comment made by the union rep that lots of councils present a 4-year plan, and I thought, what a good idea. We never actually done that. Rather than sort of, I mean, the thing is that the parishioners haven't quite got the same grasp of what a parish council can actually achieve, and I think maybe it's a better idea if the parish council actually presents its plans as to what it intends to do during those 4 years. I mean, at the moment, I would say the overriding priority is the road through Hilton, and we had to set our priorities thereafter. So, and Heather was up first. Sorry, Heather.
So if we're going to set a 4-year plan, we really need to know what villagers think. We can't do it from our own experiences. We have to engage with the village. So I think it's even more important we do a questionnaire. I think that, taking Kieran's point, I'm just happy just to delete that question and ask it separately at a time when we can do electric charging points if necessary, rather than let everybody be hung up by that very last question. So I would delete it. I think the fact there's a national census actually plays into our hand, because people are going to be used to doing it. Everyone's going to be doing an electronic census. The proposal is a bit confusing. The £145 is for a printed survey to go out. My preference would be for it to be electronic, which you can do for free, over 1,000 responses for 14 days. But if you wanted to extend it, it's £19 a month to be stopped at any time. So the electronic survey for £19 seems really achievable, and it has the benefit that all the results are analysed for us without having to sit down and go through every piece of paper and mark off who's done what.
Yes, I support it. I think it is worth doing. I mean, the fact that our previous one went on for 17 years, well, life has changed a lot in the last 18 months, and it will have changed people's thinking. So if we are not on the ball with how those views and ideas have changed, we can't be providing the best we could for the parish. So I think we should do the questionnaire and do it electronically.
Karen?
Also, I just wonder whether to explore, you know, Andy's suggestions of using SurveyMonkey or Microsoft or whatever.
Yeah, SurveyMonkey is not an option because they restrict us to 40 responses now on a free account.
Oh, do they? Right. Okay. Sorry.
So this is something called free online services, Sharon.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
it's a bit like SurveyMonkey, but it's just free.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I think, you know, I think a lot of people are very much used to doing online surveys now. You know, everyone's buying things online, and, you know, people of all ages now are on Zoom meetings and online. So I think it would be really well worth, you know, exploring. I know Andy's got his hand up. I just wonder whether...
I'm in closed meeting. I think we've got enough information. Now, those on the parish plan, anybody else wish to say anything before we go to resolution? No? Okay. Well, does someone on the parish plan working group wish to propose what we're going to do?
I prefer to accept the questionnaire, remove the last one, question 15, and run it electronically and see what results we get. And then at our appropriate next Parish Council meeting, we can discuss those results openly and decide what impact they have on what we're doing.
Okay. Now, Nicola, have you got that proposal?
Accept questionnaire with the exception of question 15, send electronically and discuss at the next Parish Council meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can I have a second?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I have a second of that proposal, please? I think Heather was slightly forwards. Okay, so that's the proposal. Can I have a show of hands on that, please?
Me.
1, 2, 4. Okay. Against? Oh shit, is that 4? All right. Okay.
No.
So chairman's vote is
vote.
going to be against then. Okay, and that we reviewed at a later date. Okay. Thank you very much.
So I don't understand what that means, Graham.
Sorry?
What does that mean?
That means that we're not sending the parish plan out, survey out.
At a later date. What does that mean?
Well,
Yeah.
it can be reviewed, or you could, you know, if you could get the 5 councillor option, or in 6 months' time, it can be rediscussed. Item 196. This is the consultation with the A141. Now, the A141 is the road that runs west of Huntingdon. We've been asked to consult on that. I don't know whether anyone's got any strong feelings as to whether we should or not. Because my own personal opinion is that I don't think it's much concern to us. And most, I would suggest that we would just support St Ives Town Council. I don't know whether that's an option or whether anyone's got anything to say on that.
I tend, in essence, to agree with you. It is a road I use quite a bit, which is just an individual choice. Looking at the different options they were speaking of, I do have an opinion, but option 2 would be the one I would go for. I do tend to feel, as you've said, that St Ives will look at this in some detail, and that it would probably be worth our while endorsing what they have to say.
Yeah. Anybody else wish to raise comment on that? No? Okay.
The only thing I would is that we need just to be thoughtful about the potential impact on traffic through Hilton with these different options. So yes, let's find out what St Ives want to do, but let's also ask the traffic group to consider what the likelihood is of more or less traffic through Hilton, whichever the option.
I think the problem we got there is that there's a response date of 15th of March. My suggestion for just supporting St Ives was that my thought is that St Ives will be doing whatever they can to clear or to get the traffic flowing as well as they can in St Ives, and therefore I think that'd be a benefit to us.
I guess I'm just questioning, are we sure about that?
No, but I mean, the 141 is some way away. I don't know what the knock-on effect will be for Hilton.
Another action
okay.
to consider would be to put information out on the website encouraging parishioners to respond individually.
Indeed, but I think the parish would need the parish council should set an example, whether it's a good one or not. I think it needs to send something back, or it just says that we don't feel that we can.
Okay, well, why don't we do as Nick suggests and ask people to comment?
Yeah, we can do that. That's fine. Do we also want to support St Ives Town Council?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the proposal. There's two proposals there.
Well,
one is that we support, or we put a proposal forward that we support St Ives Town Council in their preference. Can I have a second of that, please? Oh, Et was seconding. All in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anne, are you in favour of that?
yes, thank you.
Okay, and against? Abstaining? Heather's abstaining on that one. Okay, so that's
Sorry,
carried.
so who was for that motion?
Everybody was for, apart from Heather, who's abstaining on that one. And then the next
don't know
motion.
what St Ives' option are, is, do we?
No, we don't. No, I'm just assuming that they're going to be doing the best they can for St Ives. And the other option, the other proposal is that we encourage parishioners to send in their responses as well. So kind of a second for that option. Anne, are you seconding that?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So all in favour of the second proposal to get parishioners to respond? That's unanimous. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's good. Right. Discuss and decide upon the permission Rotary Club St Ives Parish Council assets for walking track. Now, as I understand it, all they're actually asking for is pictures of our assets to be shown. Anybody got any problems with that? Any issues?
No, not at all.
No. Okay. I'm not sure how well it'd be used, but that's the request. I think we need to sort of distance ourselves that that's all we're doing, because it's up to the Rotary Club to actually make sure they've got permissions from the domestic houses. But if we could just sorry.
But they have done.
Okay, I see, because yours features, so yeah, okay. But we're just giving permission for, it also might be worth mentioning that our maze is closed, because one of the things is they talk about walking the gravel past the centre, doesn't it? I think it might just be worth mentioning that the maze is quite often closed or opens at Easter time. Is that possible, Nicola? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the motion. Can I have a second of that, please? That we, Heather's there. Okay. All in favour? Show of hands there. Fine. Okay. Thank you very much. Discuss and decide whether to renew membership of CAPALC. This is the Cambridge Association of Local Councils, which we use quite a lot, and indeed we got quite a discount with our recent training. So the proposal is that we agree to the £385 of funds. Can I have a second of that, please? Heather seconding. All in favour? Show of hands. Yeah. Sharon, yeah, and I heard Anne, so that's fine. Unanimous. Thank you. We're then moving on to payments received. So you've seen all the payments. There's one interesting one there, of course, is that we got £3,300 refund from CCC for the street lighting. Now you've seen the little scenario by which we got that, and I think it's incredible that we weren't on their inventory list, and so they gave us the money back that we'd been giving them. So that's quite a nice little bonus. So that's good. And then the payments to be approved. I don't think there's anything. Oh, it's the litter pickers have been quite popular. We've already got place for 3. Are you seconding, Peter, or problems?
Question, my lad.
A question, sorry.
With regards to the refund from Cambridgeshire County Council.
Yep.
So they've decided it'll be for 3 years, yes?
The last 3, yes.
Yeah. So should we be asking them how long they've been overcharging us for, and whether or not there's any more money that they wish to give us back?
This is all the money that they have on their account for us, because they're effectively closing down all the parish council street lighting accounts. So this is the credit that is showing on our account that they want to refund us in order to close the account. So the answer would be no, there isn't anything showing on the account. Whether they have suspense accounts and so on and so forth is another matter.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
So can I propose that all these are signed? Anybody wish to sort of raise any questions? Or
I was just going to ask, can parishioners use the litter pickers?
yes, they are being encouraged to, in fact.
How?
They are currently all allotted though. We bought 4 as a pack of 4, and they are now all out.
Really?
So
Yeah.
how do parishioners know this?
It was a secret club. You had to pass the training. It was a casual conversation I had, and we bought 4 because it was the cheapest option. So I mean, we can certainly buy some more if that's, you know, if you know of others. And in fact, if all of them are gone, I think it'd be a good idea. So
What's the question of parishioners who would like one, whether it's through Facebook or whatever?
Yeah,
reporting back from this meeting.
We can certainly buy some more, but then it's not on the agenda here to.
You can't buy them and then just give them out to people you happen to talk to.
We can. I have.
But you shouldn't.
Okay. Why not? We can certainly buy some more.
Well, can we ascertain whether there's a need for them and then buy them?
But you just said that you knew somebody who wanted one.
No, I said people would like to have the opportunity of joining the litter picking group.
Right. Well, it's not a group. It's just people go out and pick. So there's no. That's our point. There's no organisation. It's just as you go for a walk, you take pickers with you. Peter,
is it intended that the 4 are out on permanent or temporary loan?
Maybe we ask them every year as to how much they're using them.
So that it is. So if there is an identified need for more, then it will involve further purchase.
Yes. Yes.
Because those 4 aren't coming back in. So if I phoned up tomorrow and said, by the way, I'm walking down towards the allotments, I'd like to pick the litter, the inordinate amount of litter that's down there.
Yeah.
There isn't a litter picker available for me to do so.
No.
Right.
But
okay. So we need to buy some more then, don't we?
As it's caused so much interest, maybe we bring it back onto, not back, maybe we can have a next meeting as to how we continue with that one.
I think we should, because it looks to us, councillors who've not heard of this at all, this is very much a unilateral thing that's happened.
Yeah.
And
certainly is.
Right.
You've bumped into a few wombles and you've given them some litter pickers. I think we need to have I know it's only a small amount of money, but I think it's a great idea and there's potentially something we can capitalise on this.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
We'll bring it. £14 has been spent without the council's approval under the right rules. That Graham can do that, which is great. Can't you just buy some more? Send a message out to say I've got them, and then if you need some more, get some more. It's a really great thing. It doesn't need to come back here.
No, I was just well said, Heather. I was just going to say exactly the same thing. We don't need to bring this back to a council meeting. You know, it's £14 for 4 litter pickers. Let's just do exactly what Heather said and put it on Facebook. If you'd like a litter picker, you know, please see the clerk. And in the meantime, you know, if they are all being used, then by all means, I think we could probably, you know, buy another 12 or something.
Okay. I know, but even though it's only £14, we still want to make sure they're being used. We want to make sure that the litter that's been picked up is put somewhere appropriate. All those kind of things, you know, we can't just be not doing those kind of things.
Yeah, but Kieran, people who are litter picking will put it in a bin, and for the parish council, say after a bonfire night or, you know, an event on the green, it would be really handy to have a dozen litter pickers, you know, gadgets to litter pick, especially after like a Feast Week event or something like that. You know, it's a Feast Week, have them, and you know, so there is a lot of goodwill in the village and people are responsible, but they don't necessarily, with COVID around at the moment, want to actually pick up things. I've actually hesitated picking up litter because I thought, actually, I don't really want to touch this without a black bag on my hand.
Well, enough on that. I've got the point. The proposal now is that we sign those orders. Kind of a seconder, please, for the bills. Yeah. Oh, Ian, confusing me with Linda on there. Ian is seconding. All in favour that they are paid? Anne, are you happy to get paid?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
very much. That's good. Right, now we'll move on to the item of the clerk's contract
Graham,
and the hours.
Graham, can I interject here?
Yeah.
I'm conscious it's 9:25.
Yeah.
And they're quite sensitive issues, and I'm just wondering if we should deal with items 184, 185, 186 at an extraordinary meeting.
No, I'm happy to go through. We've been chatting about things. I think we can manage it. We'll see how we get on. I think we had to finish by 10:30. We'll see how well we get on with the check first of all.
I thought we had to finish by 9:30.
No, 9:30 is the cut-off.
By who? On what basis?
Based on standing orders. Based on standing orders, we after 10:30. We have to abandon our standing orders to continue. Suspend. Sorry, temporarily abandon. See how we get on. Okay, so we can now move on to that. I'm going to obviously, because of the sense of nature,